Hi class, here's the video for the practice fractions test that I'm gonna give you tomorrow in class. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through it, and hopefully if there's a skill that you are needing help with, you'll get help from this video. Okay, so number 1, write the mixed number as an improper fraction. So we're going to rewrite this as an improper fraction. So I'm going to take this 4 and multiply it times the 2 to get 8 and add it to the 3. So 4 times 2 plus the 3. So that's 8 plus 3 is 11. And I pick the 11 over the number of parts, which is 4. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to write the improper fraction as a mixed number. I'm going to take 16 and divide it by 3. 3 goes into 16 5 times. If I subtract 15, 5 times 3 is 15, I get 1. So this 5 is our whole number. The remainder 1 goes up here. Those are our extras. And our 3 goes underneath. So when you divide, the whole number is our whole number for the mixed number. The remainder goes up here, and these are our parts. This is also negative, so you need to remember to put a negative there. For 2, we're going to simplify these fractions by looking for common factors, both top and bottom. So with 4 and 12, you can look at your factor pair side. 4 and 12, a common factor between 4 and 12, let's see. Don't use 1. We could use 2, but let's use the biggest one. Let's use the 4. The 4 is shared by both of those. So we're going to divide the top and the bottom by 4, the greatest common factor. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. That's 1/3. Between 5 and 25, what is our greatest common factor? I see there's a 5 here and a 5 here. We will divide both top and bottom by 5. So if you divide 5 by 5, you get 1. If you divide 25 by 5, you get 5. And then we have a negative sign here, so it's negative 1/5. What I would like you to do is try these first. Try these first, and then watch me do them, because that'll give you a chance to practice them. All right, 24 and 16. The greatest common factor between 24 and 16, there's a 4 here and a 4 here, but there's also an 8. So the greatest common factor is 8 between 16 and 24. So we're going to divide both by 8, top and bottom. 24 divided by 8 is 3. And 16 divided by 8 is 2. And there's our answer, 3/2. Letter D, 8 and 22. Now, you could also be looking at those two numbers and say, okay, they're both even, so I know that I can at least divide them by 2. So if you don't have this chart, and you see that these numbers are both even, you could divide them by 2. In fact, I'm going to do that. I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2 and see what happens. You get 2 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 22 divided by 2, and look over here, 22 divided by 2 is 11. And look, now there's just 4 and 11 here, and those do not have any common factors. 4 and 11 only share the 1, and we don't use the 1 for these. So 2 and 4 over 11 will be the simplified fraction. And I just needed to divide by 2. Okay. Number 3, we're adding and subtracting like denominators, which means that the denominators are the same, which is good. That's what we want. It makes it much easier to subtract. We keep the denominator, and we subtract the numerator. 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5 over 11. Our answer is 5 over 11. Here we're adding. Our denominator is 9. We take 2 plus 5. That's 7 over 9. Okay. And again, you should try these on your own first now and see what you get, and then watch me and then get the answers. But here we have the 8s on the bottom. And then we have everything else goes on top. The 5, the minus, and the 1. The 8 is the only thing that stays on the bottom. 5 minus 1. Well, that's 4 over 8. Now notice these are both even. So this is not simplified. Remember, we have to simplify if necessary. So these share a common factor. And you can look on your sheet, or you could remember that since they're both even numbers, we could just divide by 2. Let's do that. Let's just divide by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Well, I look and I see, oh look, they're still even. So I can divide by 2 again. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So sometimes that's what I start with, is just dividing by 2. Excuse me. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so there's our answer. We got 4/8. There's our first answer. 5 minus 1 is 4 over 8. But then we have to simplify that fraction, because there was a common factor in each of those. Okay, here we have the 2 on the bottom. Now, again, you're going to put everything else on top. So we have the 3 and the minus and the 6. So the 3 minus 6 goes on top. Now be careful here. This is smaller than this. I have 3 things and I'm taking away 6. That is not going to be a positive number. If you look on your number line, if you have 3 things and you take away 6, 1, I start at the 3, and I take away 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's negative 3, not positive 3. So be careful. And that's our answer. And you can put the negative in the front, on the top, on the bottom. It doesn't matter now where you put it. But here you have to put the negative on the top. Keep it up here. And the same thing with letter E. Try this first, pause it, and then watch what happens when I do it. So I take the 6, that goes on the bottom. Then everything else goes on top. The minus, the 4, the minus, and the 1. So you have to watch out with your integers. Negative 4 minus 1. So I start at negative 4, and I go 1 more to the left. They're both in the negative direction, so I'm going to add the 2 numbers together and keep the sign. Negative 4, and then we go from 0 to negative 4 in that direction. Then we go 1 more. It's negative 5 over 6. And you can put the negative anywhere you like. Okay. Then we have adding or subtracting fractions that have unlike denominators, which means that we have to make the denominators match. So we can't add or subtract until we change either one fraction or both fractions. So the first thing I do is see, can I make this fraction, let me make this a little bigger. Can I make this fraction, this bottom, look like this? Can I make the 2 look like the 4? And I sure can, because if you look at the multiplication side of the multiplication chart, 2 can be made to look like 4. I just multiply it by 2. So I can make this 2 look like a 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fraction and multiply it by 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. That will keep it as an equivalent fraction. So now I have 3/4 minus 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 on the bottom is 4. So I have 3/4, and then I have changed this fraction to look like that. Now I can subtract because the denominators are the same. So we have 3 minus 2 on the top, which is 1 over 4. And that's our answer for 4A. All right, 4B. Can I make this 3 look like this 9? Well, let's look at our multiplication chart. Can I make a 3 look like a 9? Sure. I can take that 3 and multiply it by 3. So I'm going to take this fraction right here and change it. I'm going to multiply it top and bottom by 3. Remember, when you multiply by 3 over 3, that's the same thing as like multiplying by a 1, and that doesn't change any of the value. It just changes the way it looks. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 3. Okay. So 2 times 3 is 6, and 3 times 3 is 9. And now 2/3 has been rewritten as 6 over 9. And that's good because we want to add it to 1 over 9. So now the denominators match. So we're going to add the denominator, keep the denominator and add the numerator. 6 plus 1 is 7. And our answer is 7/9. Now C is a little trickier because we have these two denominators, and we can't make the 4 look like the 6. If you look at 4, there's nothing we can multiply 4 by to get 6, not when we're using whole numbers anyway. So we need to change both of these fractions, 4 and 6. So here's the 4 and here's the 6. And we need to look and see what do they both go into. And if I look across 4, 8, I see a 12 here and a 12 here. This is the common multiples. So we 4, 8, and 12, and 16. These are the multiples. There's the 12. Look at 6. We have 6, 12. Oh, look. They have a matching multiple, and it's the least common multiple. It's the smallest one. So we're going to turn these into 12s. We can make a 4 look like a 12, and we can make the 6 look like a 12. All right, so this is how we're going to do it. 6 times 2 gives 12. So we're going to multiply this by 2 on top and bottom, this fraction. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 times 2 is 12. So we just changed 3 6s into 6 12s. Now we need to change this 4 into 12s. So there's the multiple. We need to multiply it by 3. So we'll multiply top and bottom by 3. And so that will change this fraction. 1 times 3 is 3, and 4 times 3 is 12. So we have just rewritten the 1/4 to look like 3 over 12, and we've rewritten the 3 6 to look like 6 over 12. We're going to add these together. So we keep the denominator, and 6 plus 3 is 9. Now, we have to be careful, always looking to see if we can simplify. Now, if you look at 9 and 12, 9 and 12, they have a common factor, and so 9 twelfths is not simplified. We need to divide by 3. Do you see the common factor there? 12 has a factor of 3, and 9 has a factor of 3. So we're going to divide this by 3 and divide this by 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. And so we're simplifying our answer. Instead of writing 9 twelfths, we're going to simplify it to 3/4. In letter D, we can rewrite this number 1 as 7 over 7. Right? That's a whole. 7 over 7 is a whole. So if we rewrite 1 as 7 over 7, we can subtract 4 over 7 very easily. So we just keep the denominator and subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3. And our answer is 3/7. Okay, page 2. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and then I'm going to record page 2.